Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, and yes, this is another State Capitals edition. And guess what? I am in Des Moines, Iowa, and behind me is the most important building in the state of Iowa. It is the Iowa State Capitol. It is actually part of a complex. But I'll be telling you some history. We'll be going in. We're going to be seeing some fabulous stuff related to the state of Iowa. So let the tour begin. And by the way, this is on top of a hill. And as I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at the rest of downtown Des Moines. So it's pretty cool how this is all laid out. So what I usually do when I do state capitol buildings, I'm going to go ahead and read off some factoids and some information about the state of Iowa. So Iowa became the 29th state of the United States on December 28th, 1846. It borders 6 states. It is ranked 26th in land area, ranks 31st in population, and in population density, it is ranked number 36th. And so Iowa's top 5 largest cities are, at number 5 is Iowa City, that is more than 75,000 residents. Sioux City is at number 4, southwest part of the state. Number 3 is one of the Quad Cities, Davenport. At number 2 is Cedar Rapids, which is close to 136,000 people. And at number 1 is the state capital, of course, the one I'm standing in, Des Moines. Des Moines has a population of 210,000. Interestingly, it is not one of the top 100 most populated cities in America. It ranks at 114. So I guess I shouldn't feel bad because most of the cities on that list are in California. But yeah. Overall, the state of Iowa has at least 3.2 million people living there as of the latest census. The state flower is the prairie rose, and the state tree is the bur oak. One very interesting fact about the Hawkeye State, which of course is the state's nickname, that I was able to dig up, is that Iowa has the most golf courses per capita, more than any state in the United States. But Iowa is mostly known as the pantry of America. It gives over the vast majority of its land to agriculture and producing more corn and pork than any other state. The state has also proven fertile ground for pop culture as well. The landscape has inspired movies, films, songs, novels, paintings, including the American Gothic. Pretty much there's some notable entertainers from here, including John Wayne, Johnny Carson, the guy from Slipknot, Corey Taylor. He is famously from Waterloo, Iowa. I mean, I can go on. I remember on the TV show Who's the Boss, on one of the last episodes, Tony Danza's character, Tony Maselli, was going to go to school here and be a coach. But then his daughter's like, isn't Iowa pretty much cows, corn, pigs? For some reason, that line has stuck with me. Now, Iowa, of course, is also famous for being the first to help choose the next leader of the United States. Come election year, they can sometimes be the next main predictor of who may be the next president of the United States. Every election year, they are the first state to do the primaries. However, the way they do things is through caucuses. So really, I mean, it's not really a primary. It's not a primary. Usually that is in January of that election year and then on to New Hampshire. Iowa got its name from the Iowa Native Americans that lived here, the tribes, as well as the Iowa River. It was originally known as the Iowa Territory before statehood as part of the Louisiana Purchase. In the state song, the verse goes, "What did Iowa weigh? He weighed a Washington." I know, that's a corny line there for you. So regarding the actual state capitol building, it is the only 5-domed capitol building in the United States. You can see all 5 pretty much, even though that tree is in the way. But the building was constructed between 1871 to 1886. It was dedicated in 1884. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument, as well as the Lincoln and Tad statue, which I'm going to show you, is on the grounds. The central towering dome has gold all over it. As you can see, it really stands out. But here's the interesting part. The gold is actually as thin as tissue paper. Yeah, no joke, but it is real gold. But there is a protective layer that keeps the weather from bothering it. The architectural design of the Capitol, rectangular in form with great windows and high ceilings, follows a traditional pattern of 19th century planning for public buildings. It is noted for its Renaissance style. The architects for this building were John C. Cochran and Alfred H. Pekinard. The state capitol building was added to the National Register of Historic Places on October 21st, 1976. Now, unfortunately, I mean, there are several monuments and memorials on the grounds, and they are huge. Like down there is the Holocaust Memorial, but I'm not going to record and visit all of them. But I will start with this Pioneers Monument. It was done by a Connecticut artist. Very nice. And here is a sundial. It is to honor our fathers in the Grand Army of the Republic. This was erected by the Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War, 1861-1865, and on September 1938. Very nice. This is known as the Lincoln and Tad statue. It was dedicated on November 19th, 1961, which was the 90th anniversary of Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address. Now, the Lincolns had 4 sons. Tad was named for Lincoln's father, and he unfortunately died at age 18. But this was raised by mostly Iowa school children in a booth at the Iowa State Fair. The overall cost was $25,000, and I think it definitely looks awesome. And as I was saying, the courthouse was being built during the 1870s to the 1880s, but this cornerstone, which is located at the southwest corner of the Capitol, this was laid in November of 1871. In 1873, a new foundation was laid, and the cornerstone was reinscribed with Iowa AD 1873. Interesting. All right, so that is the entrance, not up those stairs, but up in those doorway right there. So yeah, I'm gonna go in. Okay, so the best place to start is the ground floor, which is this. This is where the cafeteria is. You can also get your passport stamped like I did and buy some souvenirs over there. So, and then they also have some trivia stuff like what's inside the Golden Dome. Wow, interesting stuff. But of course, the public is not allowed up there. How many steps it takes? Good golly. So basically it's a double shell, huh? And then here are original bricks from the interior dome during renovation. So I'm gonna go ahead and go up to the first floor, up those stairs. So here's the first floor, and guess where this is? This is the center of the rotunda. I'll see if I can get you a better picture of that. But yeah, that's the second floor, third floor above it. Very cool. That's the grand staircase. And let's take a look at these flags here. So these are Iowa Native Nations flag display. This was put up here in 2019. These represent Native American tribes that were here before Iowa became a state. Very interesting. This is something that talks about the Iowa Battle Flag Preservation Project. And going back to this glass floor, now this was originally glass when the Capitol first opened, but this was all removed in 1915. Now they wanted to restore how the Capitol originally looked back in the day, so this was put up in 2011 at a cost of $311,000. This is 10,000 pounds that I'm standing on of glass. And you can kind of see what's holding it together. But yeah, really cool. I'm in the park now where the Supreme Court room is, and this is the consultation room where all the justices can discuss issues and stuff outside the court. And here's a little history about all the... This one actually has pictures of all the courthouses in Iowa. Now, I've never seen that before in any state. Very cool. All the counties and everything. Talks about the court staff. There's a court seal from 1846, a case numbering machine used in the early 1900s, an early gavel, 1943, a picture of all the justices, the judicial branch building, which of course, you know, that's where they all practice cases now. That's the old Supreme Court room. Now this is the old Supreme Court room. Kind of small, but hey, very cool. And across are the House committee chairs as well as the minority leaders' offices. All right, here's a bronze plaque of the "We the People of the United States," the U.S. Constitution. And then that's the Secretary of State's office right there. Here's a model of the USS Iowa. It is 18 feet and 7 inches long, weighs 1,350 pounds. It is on loan from the U.S. Navy Department. Wow. Here's a woman's suffrage memorial. This was put up here on May 10th, 1936, in commemoration of the efforts of the pioneer suffragists and the long procession of workers who helped to secure the final enfranchisement of women. Here's some more history about the Capitol for anybody who's interested, and all the governors. Here's some more details about the USS Iowa. It was laid down on June 27th, 1940, and it was built in the New York Navy Yard. It was decommissioned in 1990. And interestingly, I just happened to see Ed Sullivan's picture on here. It was actually filmed, Ed Sullivan's show was filmed on the battleship. Huh. Interesting. And one last thing of the USS Iowa. And then here's a thing of all the governors, starting with the territorial governors, which were 3 of them. Ansel Briggs was the first governor. And it goes all the way to Kimberly Reynolds. Can't really see because of the reflection. All right, now here's more from the executive branch. This is the Auditor of State, and I really like this sign. Be a watchdog. Report waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer funds. Why doesn't every state have this? Especially a specific state, but I'm not going to say what it is. I'm just saying. But anywho, I'm going to take you down and see a couple interesting things. Look at these old staircases. Oh my gosh. It's like the 1930s or 1950s design or something. And then these dolls represent all the first ladies of Iowa, meaning the governor's wives, or significant others in this case, because he is the first gentleman, Kevin Reynolds. But they are all meant to depict who they were. I mean, they're not really, not necessarily their likenesses, but in the period gowns they wore, like what was popular at the time. Like, for example, here is Mrs. Samuel Merrill, who was first lady from 1868 to 1872. That was what was popular back then. And Mrs. Joshua Newbold. Wow, this is so interesting. This is something every state should do. Some of them look like Miss America, just the like Miss America gowns. And you can definitely tell what time period that is. 1840s. And then this is pretty much just a display of awards, and this one talks about the governor, Kim Reynolds, and all the awards she has gotten, like the Common Sense Institute and the Tax Foundation Award, the Golden Eagle. And speaking of the governor, that is her office. Well, the lieutenant governor's office too. I don't think she's in today. I'm not even gonna knock on that door. And then that is the state treasurer's office. All right, here's the second floor. And I am in the second part of the rotunda. And then there's a passageway to the top of the dome, but it is not open today. Or is it? This way to the dome, okay. And getting a close look at the top. Oh my gosh, 1861 to 1865. I'm about ready to fall backwards. It's all lit up and everything. Wow, really nice. I want to show like a picture just to kind of give you a little bit more idea. All that gold. And so behind me is the Senate chambers. I'm not going to go in, of course, but that's pictures of all the people serving in the Iowa Senate right now. Are you one of them? Let me know in the comments. And then across from me is, of course, the Iowa House of Representatives. I'll be there in a second. But I was told to check out the library, which is, doing a little construction work there. All right, let's see about this library. And this is the first thing I see when I walk in. Wow. Look at this. See what kind of books they have here. People are studying in here, so that's why I got a quiet voice. But yeah, research. Wow. Or if I want to go upstairs, I can use that circular staircase. Wow. Man, I can just walk forever in these chambers. Wow. It's like there's hidden places. But I'm not a lawyer, nor am I ever that book smart when it comes to the law of the land. So also on the second floor is this mural painting. It was called Westward. It was done by Edwin H. Blanchfield, and it pretty much symbolizes the pioneers' arrival in Iowa. Here, let me just go ahead and give you a little closer look. And this is the grand staircase. Very nice. Looks like there's angels, and kind of reminds me of the Mormon Pioneer Trail, because it did take place in Iowa, where it started at the southeastern end. And I'll show you that painting over there. So this painting was done by Floyd Blackney. It was titled Plenty, and it basically is, a basket of corn. But it was the center of the Iowa exhibit at the Pan-Pacific Exposition in San Francisco in 1915. Yep. Corn. And I'm kind of wondering about this. This definitely looks really old, but really nice. And I know the light's kind of in the way, the reflection, but this is pretty much a picture of the entire Iowa legislature, the 90th General Assembly. You have the Senate Democratic leader, Senate Majority Leader, Senate President. I don't see the governor on here, but the House Speaker. Those are the Senate, the Iowa Senate, all smiling in their seats, as well as the House of Representatives of Iowa. Very nice. Or, I mean, you can look down on the others too, but It looks really nice. I mean, look at all that gold, all those paintings, quotes by Patrick Henry. Let me give you a little close-up of the artwork. Defense, charities. That's the executive, legislature, judiciary, and education, what Iowa is known for. Really nice. Just looking at these, just very amazing. All right, the Senate Democratic Research Staff Room. There's a conference room there, a committee room. Let's see about the other side. All right, so I'm going to look at the House Gallery. And of course, they're not letting anybody in there. One of the tour people told me that they were putting new windows in here. But yeah, this is the House Gallery. I mean, just from upstairs, from the 3rd floor. Looking at all the representatives' names. Wow, this is so cool. And you know, the seeing area where the public can view. All right, there's Trump's picture between Lincoln and Washington's down there, if you can see closely. All right, so now that's a nice circular staircase down there. Huh, cool. Wow, these are like really thin rooms to walk in, or hallways to walk in. So I'd say that was definitely a fun tour. I mean, that Capitol was very interesting compared to some of the other ones I've been to. This is what I believe to be the back, because you know, the rest is just administrative and other government related buildings. But over there is the Statue of Liberty replica, and right over there is the Liberty Bell replica, both of which I'm going to take a quick look at. This of course is the Statue of Liberty replica, and as I covered in my 3rd video that I posted on this channel, these were all put up in the early 1950s. This one was placed here in 1950. These were put out in a lot of Midwestern towns, you know, during the height of the Cold War and for patriotism. But this is from the Boy Scouts of America, and this one really looks clean. Like, I don't know, it's pretty much looks good after all those years, if you know what I mean. And there are also a lot of these in the state of Iowa. I actually saw a couple on the way over here. Like, I saw one in Bloomfield, Iowa, which is south of here. Okay, moving on. One thing I forgot to mention about the Statue of Liberty replica is I remember seeing that outside the Missouri State Capitol grounds. So it's very interesting that it's also on the Iowa State Capitol Fairgrounds as well. And now this you can find on just about, I'm pretty sure you can find these on every state capitol grounds, indoors or outdoors. This one, of course, is outdoors. You can see the fake crack right there. But yeah, dedicated to you, a free citizen, a free land. This reproduction of the Liberty Bell was presented to the people of Iowa by direction of the Honorable John W. Snyder, Secretary of the Treasury. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but I don't think anybody can ring it. Or I'm not even going to try. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. Well, I hope you learned a lot about the great state of Iowa as much as I did in this episode. So I hope you guys, whenever you're in Des Moines, be sure to check out this place. I mean, like all state capitals, it is open to the public. So yeah, by all means, do so. All right, I am Jason in Des Moines, Iowa, signing off.